What's up, everybody? It's Roger and James here from the DisKingdom Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing all my thoughts on the brand new Disney movie, Ralph Breaks the Internet, which a little bit of a delay here because for some reason it got delayed like a week or two for the UK. So I saw it last week. Really enjoyed it, but I had some minor flaws with it. I'm not going to go into too much spoiler difference because James hasn't seen it, but I know he's got some questions he wants to throw at me.
Yeah, and I guess the main obvious question is, how does it stack up next to the first Wreck-It Ralph?
I think this is, and it's really weird because you know all the things that we were saying about months ago about feeling a little bit apprehensive about this movie and it losing its video game stuff did happen really. There was a lot of, I enjoyed it, but I know I didn't like it as much as Wreck-It Ralph. And talking to other people as well, I think Wreck-It Ralph always was on that special thing because I am the video game fan and I understood all the references, whereas a lot of people didn't. And I was talking to my brother, a lot of that stuff went over his head. Whereas I can see with Ralph Breaks the Internet, it won't. A lot of people will get it, but if this movie is going to date poorly in the years to by the time this thing hits Disney Plus. This thing is already going to have half the stuff is going to be obsolete because, things like Fortnite jokes and like the floss and all, things like that are just not going to age well unless they keep up. And having things like the full branding of like eBay and Amazon and Snapchat and Instagram and Pinterest, and it's like, are they? And there was a subtle little dig at GeoCities being dead and being. I remember running GeoCity websites and stuff.
Yes,
and it was just that kind of thing of, this is. It was an odd one. I enjoyed it, but it was just like, if I would almost say it would be like a 7 out of 10. It didn't really I didn't come out of that going, oh my god, that was the best thing ever. It was like, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. But I probably won't watch. I won't get it. It's that thing of. Yeah, it's an odd one. I did like it, but it didn't blow me away.
All right, so I had another question. This was already what I was going to ask, but this kind of segues nicely with what you were talking about. Is one of the concerns that we had, or I think mostly me, but both of us had going into this movie was that it would get overwhelmed with product placement like eBay and Oh My Disney and all that stuff. How did you feel that was in the movie? Was it a large present, or was it just like that one sequence where they enter the internet and then it just kind of fades away?
As far as like the branding and stuff, there was little stages of, they're just like Snapchat, for example, is they just go past a big building that shows the logo. Fine. Amazon was kind of the thing. eBay was a little bit more centric because they needed to get to eBay, and and I didn't mind that so much because I preferred it when. I liked it more when they had it when the original poster came out and they were like mocked up versions of the brands. So you knew that it was Google and Amazon, but it was a different name. I think that would have worked slightly better. They would have I don't see why they included it. There were some bits and pieces in it. It's like the YouTubers, for example. You wouldn't have known who they were because they just flopped up and they could have just been, if you didn't know, you'd have just thought there was just someone watching at home. They didn't really force over who they were, which I think was what I was wary of when they started announcing these YouTubers and stuff before it. Pinterest, that was an interesting one. That wasn't a good way of using it.
Does Pinterest still exist?
Yes, it's still very popular. I had a look. My wife uses it all the time. I had a look at it the other day and hadn't quite realized how many people were following DisKingdom over there. I'll be honest, I don't really use it very often, but
hi, Pinterest people.
Yes, it was one of those things of, I did like the way they incorporated that into the movie. There were some other bits. The Oh My Disney bit was fantastic.
That's the princess bit, right?
Yeah, and you've seen it already.
I did see that at D23.
Well, I think you've not only that, but I think bar about 5 seconds of the entire thing, I think everyone has seen it if they've seen any of the trailers, because most of it has been in the... It kind of ended and I'm like, there was a great bit with some stormtroopers, and there was a great bit with a Marvel character. But it was a little bit like, oh, we've seen most of this. We could have done the whole movie in here. We didn't need to, it's like, and there were certain characters like Spammy that got introduced, and it was like, okay. And then the online racing bit was Slaughter Race. That was a bit cheesy. It was just, Oh, I don't know.
That's the
Yeah.
part with Gal Gadot, right?
Yeah. There was a bit basically where that's where Vanellope finds like where she really wants to be, and it was just the kind of thing of it was that kind of thing of like fundamentally as gamers, I would like listen to it, and she's talking about like her future stuff, and she's like, I want to live in a world where my game keeps getting updated with new content to keep things interesting, or that kind of thing, and we're like, and then I go, no, you don't want to be an online game. You don't. It's like, yeah, that's what she likes the concept. It's like, yeah, everyone likes it until they get bored of it and turn it off. And Disney will do that. I was sat there in the theater going, you don't want to go into an online game, but that means Disney will kick you out in 2 years.
2 years? I mean, some of the games barely lasted 6 months. What happened to that Storytale one that was basically a Disney Magic Kingdoms knockoff? So,
yeah.
But ultimately, so you said it's about a 7 out of 10, give or take. I don't know. What were some of the highlights for you other than the princesses?
Yeah, I mean, the whole my Disney thing with the stormtroopers and stuff, that was great. It was the kind of thing. I liked the bit at the beginning where they were back in the arcade, and I liked all that. And this was the thing of it feels really, because obviously we had Sonic in there. We did up those episodes last week for like Wreck-It Ralph. We did them about a month ago because we knew you were going to be on vacation. And there's that thing of like, yeah, there was nothing, but the Nintendo stuff has got even less. That was all pulled out of there. There was nothing Nintendo in there at all. So that was a bit of a thing. But yeah, it was a little bit like, okay, we've got Zangief, we've got Chun-Li, we've got Sonic, but they didn't really add anything to it. It was just like back to where it was, and Ralph liked it. There were some good bits and pieces. I mean, the epic big battle at the end was kind of fun to see how they did it. And it was fun that they kind of pushed it back onto it. But it's that kind of thing of, I don't know, it seemed like it took a long way to get around to what they were doing. And the relationship between the characters, I don't think it was an odd one. I didn't like the slaughter race stuff at all. I thought that was just quite bland, really.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's some good highlights to it, but what I'm getting from what you're saying is it doesn't really sound like it's a very cohesive movie. Like it's little bits, little shorts, all kind of attached together by a loose plot or something along those lines.
Well, basically, the only whole thing is, Ralph. There's no major plot really. Was Ralph kind of helps create a new track for Vanellope, and so therefore, because she's bored and she wants something new. Of course, the player then isn't playing it right, breaks the handle off, and then they have to go to eBay to buy the handle. They then go to eBay, spend a fortune, and they have to raise enough money. So that's why they go into slaughter race to get some money, and then it's that kind of thing of there's a vague thing, but it's a little, and as they go along, and it was more about Ralph just wanting to get back to normal and Vanellope wanted to go kind of thing. And it was good, but I don't know, it definitely felt like going into the internet to me, and this is what I was worried about right from the word go, was it lost what Wreck-It Ralph was to me. Wreck-It Ralph was video games, and they took it somewhere else, and they lost that. They lost the video game aspect. It got lost in this, and it was like more interested in making fun of memes and internet things, and even the end credit. I mean, they definitely got me, and you'll see it when you see it. But it seemed to be more interested in trying to go after the popular internet thing rather than the video game aspect, which is what it was all about originally.
It sounds a lot like DreamWorks movies from another several years ago, some like before Kung Fu Panda and How to Train Your Dragon. It sounds more like what Shark Tale was it, and their attempts to follow in Pixar, but to throw in a whole bunch of like modern references, and those movies have not aged well at all. No. And it sounds like Wreck-It Ralph 2. Sorry, might be in the same. I'll judge for myself when I see it. Yeah. But based on what you're saying, I think I might wait for Blu-ray release.
Yeah, the thing is, I'll be honest, this December is a heavy stacked month. We've got some big movies. And even I'm kind of like seeing of like, things. I don't know. I think it's going to I think it's going to have it had a great last weekend. I think it'll have a good couple of weeks, but I feel it's going to trail off. It's not going to do like the Incredibles run or anything like that. No, it was good. I enjoyed it. it didn't quite hit the point. It was kind of it seems very rarely that I would say that about an animated movie from Disney. It was okay. It just was that. It was just okay. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't fantastic. It was good. Enjoy. I think kids will love it. There might be kids watching this there might be people that will prefer this to the first one, but for me, it just lost the aspect of what I loved about the first movie.
That's unfortunate, but I mean, a 7 out of 10 is still a solid score.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think that's a good enough score that most people should probably go out and check it out for themselves, or do what like I'm doing, which is I'm going to just wait for the Blu-ray and probably rent it either from a Redbox or digitally. But it sounds like it's worth your time. It just not elevated up, you know, and that is too bad because the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 movies from Disney, and we're not even including Pixar movies, just Disney movies, have been pretty solid. You know, a lot of notable releases, a lot of movies that are telling their own story and they've gone off in different directions. So it's kind of disappointing, but
I do think this one suffered from because they pushed it a year. They pushed it forward a year. Moves Frozen back, and I think even the director said they didn't quite get it to go where he didn't have as much time on it, and I think it showed. I think as an adult watching it, I could see that it needed some more polish. It needed that little bit more time on it, and I think it suffered by being rushed.
Which is unfortunate, but we'll see if this pays dividends next year with Frozen 2, and which we know almost nothing about at this point. Yeah, I guess that's where we end right now. So
so let us know if you have seen the movie. Let us know in the comments. Do you agree with me or do you not disagree with me? I'd love to know your thoughts. But you might love it. I mean, it's that thing of it might be one of those things. Let us know in the comments below. Get in touch with us on social media. You can find us over at DisKingdom.com. Like, follow, on, subscribe. James, where can they find you?
Find me heroiclegacy.com.
And on that, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back soon. Later.